member for Newtown and a state politician, and I just like to say that Jenny Leong is one of the only people standing up in Parliament and saying we're not going to take it. I think something that we have to remember is that a lot of us are disgusted by the abuse that has been perpetrated in the back rooms of Parliament. But what we need to remember is that so much of the sexism that women face every day is a product of the crimes that happen on the parliamentary floor itself. When the government, as Faye said, when the government votes to withdraw JobKeeper, cut JobSeeker, attack casual workers, this affects working class women and working class people every single day. So Jenny, good luck. Here you go.
Thanks, Erin. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Erin. Thanks, Shania, for the welcome. I'd like to acknowledge that we are here on Gadigal land to pay our respects to elders, past, present and emerging. Recognise that it always was and always will be Aboriginal land, and when we look at the level of abuse and trauma inflicted on Aboriginal people in this country, we need to recognise that that is the first injustice that we always need to remember, and that is the struggle that we all need to unite to be able to right the wrongs that have been done in the past around genocide, colonisation and invasion in this country. Yeah. It is a pleasure to be here, and I want to give a massive shout out to the Youth Survivors for Justice for organising this action. They are the ones that we will take the lead on into the future so that we will change and end rape culture, we will end discrimination, we will end assault, harassment and inequality in our society, and they are the ones who will take the charge up, and one day we will be dancing on the streets because they will have won this battle for us. So thank you. I also want to acknowledge that there are people here today that you can tell from your faces looking from where I am, and that there are people holding this microphone that are survivors of assault, of harassment and trauma. I want to acknowledge the power and strength of Saxon and Amanda and others that are speaking out and seeking strong. And I want to say, Saxon, my heart aches when you acknowledge the fact that there is privilege associated even with the level of trauma that you have had to go through, and that is the kind of leadership that we need, not the bullshit that goes on in Canberra. So thank you for being here. Some people say that, well, if you're going to have a rally about survivors of sexual assault, well, you should just talk about surviving sexual assault. You shouldn't talk about JobKeeper. What's that got to do with anything? Why is that woman over there, Faye, talking about homelessness? What's that got to do with anything? Someone else talked about cops. What's that got to do with anything? Well, we say that they are all part of the same problem. As Erin alluded to, they are part of a neoliberal agenda run by the people that are governing our state and our federal government, who choose to not put our rights, our humanity, at the centre of their decision making. They instead choose to put their power, they choose to put their interests, they choose to put their big developer mates, their big corporate interest mates, their big warmongering mates at the centre of their choices and priorities. And that is why when you sit in the New South Wales Parliament, or when my colleagues like Lydia Thorpe sit in the federal Parliament, what you see is they make decisions not to raise JobKeeper, not to increase the investment in public and social housing, not to properly fund 1-800-RESPECT and keep it as a public national service so that when people ring, someone answers and can support them. They instead choose to sell off public land. They choose to privatise essential services. They choose to underfund DV clinics. They choose to not support consent education in schools. Let us not pretend that any of the traumas that are being gone through here and any of the existing traumas that goes on are things that we cannot solve. We can solve all of these things. The issue is that there are people in charge that have an interest in keeping that trauma happening, and we need to start calling that out. Because the choice Morrison makes when he does not fund investment in domestic violence services, when he does not fund social and community support services, when they do not invest in housing, when they put people who are rape apologists in their cabinet, they are making a choice. They are making a choice to say that our jobs and our power is more valuable than your lives, than your dignity, than your ability to be able to function and participate in society. And I might sound angry, but that's because I am. And I know that now is the time that we need to, more than ever before, make the links between all of these things, because they will keep going. They will keep trying to organise things behind closed doors, to try and hush people up, invite the Women's March organisers in to have a quiet and civilised cup of tea to talk about something because it feels too uncomfortable to talk about it publicly. They'll say to Chanel, Contos, we would like to just chat to you over here, you don't need to talk out. Well, power to Chanel for keeping talking out and saying, I recognise that this isn't just in the private schools, this is in the public schools, this is in our parliaments. Power to her for backing this action today. And I say to the more they try and separate these out as issues that they can't tackle, the more we will be divided and the less chance we have of winning. But if we recognise, and I acknowledge that there is a trans and gender diverse flag up the front, if we recognise that our struggles as women, if our struggles as humans are all intersected to a struggle for justice and equality and the treatment of everyone equally, then we will win. And that is the future that I want to be part of. So thank you all for coming out today. All power to you. I'm Jenny Leong, the member for Newtown. It's really, really amazing to see you all here today.
Thank you so much, Jenny.